Hello and welcome back to Stranded D, welcome back to Pacific Paradise, and welcome back to this island we are creating. We are in the map editor, the map creator, and we are also on the PC version of the game, the Steam version of the game. And as ever, I'm just going to run through the controls real quick for all the people who are brand new to the channel. So we are using W to go forward, S to go back, A to go left, D to go right, Q to go down, E to go up. You push and hold the right mouse button and that pans the camera around. But wait, there's more as we come in on the beach and grab ourselves a life raft. Grab ourselves a life raft, there we go. We are using R to rotate, T to transform, C to copy or clone, delete, delete. And if you have something selected and press F, that focuses. But wait, there's more, yes, because everyone asks about the brushes, said no one ever. But we have to go through them because this is the thing that's going to be your undoing. Under terrain, we have 3 brushes. We have raise and lower height, we have set height, and we have smooth height. And the size of the brush is inherited between each of the brushes, as is the amount slider. So if you're going around smoothing the outside of your island, with the amount slider cranked all the way up, and then you say, oh, I want to raise a little bit of land here, and you left click. Now you will put a spike all the way to the International Space Station, and they'll be very upset because they're supposed to be in space. Because there is no undo, you'll have to escape. Hit escape, and then load an earlier save of your island, because it's easier to load an earlier save than it is to try and correct a mistake. Sorry, I'm doing a little bit of coughing. Not that you can hear it, because I'm writing the mute button, but yeah, that's just one of those days. It's been a long old day. I've done 8 hours of work, I've been to the hairdresser, I've been to the supermarché, I've sat down, and now I'm looking at this volcano that we have going on here. So we have the Caldera on the inside, that's the shallow pool with the, what do we got? We got a lava tunnel. Can we actually see that from the outside? Sploosh as we go underwater. Yeah, we got a lava tunnel. Sometimes the game will put the blue haze in, and sometimes it won't, to give us the impression that we are underwater. It doesn't apply the fog, which is an interesting thing. So as we try and go up through the little hole in the middle, we should find ourselves scooting up, the inside of the island. So we have a boat here, and the boat is just for scale to give us an idea of what everything is supposed to look like. And then last time we were working on some woods. Now, where on an island this size do you start? Well, the answer is you put something on the outside. So we put this little rock pile, put some trees, we put a little walkway, a gantry across to it. And then we've just started adding trees. Now, it doesn't look like much because there aren't any grass sprites. No grass sprites, nothing here to denote that this is a forest floor, but wait, there's more. It's worth at this point just saying that this is not really a tutorial, not really a walkthrough. This is more of a long play, let's play, that we just happen to be in the map editor. And this is more of second channel viewing, second monitor viewing even. So you put it on the second monitor, or you watch this as you're going to bed, just to give you some ideas about what you can and cannot be doing in the map editor itself. And at the end of this, hopefully we will have an island, a beautiful island. But when you're at this point, how do you carry on? It's quite easy to get despondent, a little bit, well, sad, because we've put in a lot of objects, we've put in a lot of trees and things, and we're going to run out of these cooked pines before long. What exactly do we do with the rest of the island? Well, we pick a little area of sand, maybe on the beach, and then we just make ourselves a little vignette. So instead of focusing on the big, what we could do is focus on the small, and it just breaks things up, because the island is the inverse of what we would normally have. Normally would you have like a big lump in the middle that sweeps down to beaches, and we got a big hole in the middle, so we can't do that. And instead of big sweeping coves, we've got, well, just kind of like a never-ending curve, and it's not great. So I want to block these sight lines, and we may as well start here. So we're going to grab in some rocks and some trees. And big rock. Let's see. Grab you and knock you down here. Spin you around and give yourselves a little bump. A little bump in the night. There we go. So let's do that, and that, and that, and that. Cool. And then we'll grab the terrain brush, make sure the amount is down, pull it back off the stop. You can always push it all the way down and then say, oh, actually, I'm left clicking and it's not doing much. Well, you can crank the mouse slider up, but if it's already cranked and then you left click and you have a spike all the way to the moon, or you have a dip all the way down to Cthulhu's bedroom, then it's very hard to fix. So you can make things more, but it's hard to make them less. So what we're doing is we're just putting a rock down and then piling some dirt up behind it, so that the rock acts as a very definite drop. I'm going to level that off a little bit, so set height, retrain paint height, and I'm going to click on the dry sand. I'm going to make the size of the brush go down, and then I'm just going to push that down. So we got a bit more of that rock apron there, a little less grass texture, and more sandy bits. Because I like sandy bits. Alright, so we got objects selected, move that away. Grab ourselves some trees. Unfortunately, the ficus tree 2 is the one that's going to be doing all our heavy lifting here, because it's the one that we can pull out of the toolbox most often. There's no limit on it, which is lovely. Now, here we go. Speaking of no limit, yeah. Don't worry about putting too many rocks in, I guess. I mean, there is a limit to what a player's computer can render, but the thing that's really going to cost people frame rate is crabs, and it is physics objects. If you put in a lot of shipwrecks, you're going to have a lot of physics objects. If you put in a lot of animals, you're going to have a lot of animal AI to deal with. So the animal AI will slow everyone down. Lots and lots of crabs is the typical one, because people say, well, I want lots of crabs on my beaches. That's great. But once you've thrown down a bunch of crabs on your beaches, the computer then needs to render all of that in AI. It's all stuff that's moving and wandering around. And that means someone with a lower power computer is going to have a bit of a problem. So we try and avoid that. We're also making a little path here. So vignette is just a little thing that we can work on. Just a little scene, if you will, that we can work on. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm just adding a little rock here, rock there. Grab the terrain, retrain paint height from probably back here. And that means we can just raise it up. So we can walk on mountains? Wait, what? I actually don't know how the song goes. You raise me up so I can walk on water? Nope. Try again. You raise me up so I can walk on Deep Space Nine. Oh, yes. Perfect. What's Deep Space Nine? It's Star Trek. It's probably the best Star Trek they ever made. Because they stopped making Star Trek after... let's grab another ficus. So we under F, isn't it? Ficus Tree 2. Yeah, DS9 is probably the best Star Trek. They stopped making Star Trek after Enterprise, unfortunately. So they were talking about making something called Discovery, and they never got around to doing it. Which is good, because it sounded like a terrible, terrible idea. Yeah, DS9, based on, quite obviously, Babylon 5. Because it was made by the same production company. I think they were both Paramount. So we're just putting these in, and what I'm looking for is these branches. I want a branch arch. They don't have to touch each other. But as you're running along the beach, suddenly instead of having, let's scoot, instead of having a bare sand, what we have now is this little vignette. We've done this before. We keep doing it. Why do we keep doing it? Because it breaks up your sight lines. It's not going to stop the player running through here like a mad person carrying buckets of whatever people carry in buckets. Ooh, I imagine. But what it is going to do is just gives them something to look at as they're running past. And don't forget that you're going to see things like, if we get the sun in the right place, there we go. You're going to see all the sunlight coming through the leaves as you're running around. It gives interest. It gives je ne sais pas. Let's see. So we need some more rocks. I just want some more rocks here, actually. So we'll do this. Terrain objects. Big rock. Do we need a big rock? The thing about this is, we got ourselves a big-ass caldera. I'm not entirely sure what I want to put in the inside. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't really got to that point. I did know that I wanted woods on one side, forest on one side, and then the other sides, well, maybe we can have some sort of desert area. Maybe we just have collections of rocks and trees, something like that. So this is going to be the most involved section of the island by far. Most involved. The inside, I'm not entirely sure, but that's where you let your subconscious work on it. Your subconscious is very powerful. It's very, it's on all the time. Unless, you're a Borg. Oh, no, Borgs are interconnected. Sounds Swedish. But, yeah. So, your subconscious, you can go away and you can say, I really want to do this thing. And your subconscious will work away on it. And eventually it'll come up with an answer. So I'm thinking maybe we can do something with the inside. There are some issues that you may have already noticed, and I'll just going to have a look up here again. As we get further away from certain objects, specifically the cliffs, is it going to do it? Let's go over here and see if we can make it happen. There we go. So these lines in the middle, that's the 2D sprite. So these cliff sections have turned into 2D sprites, and sometimes you get the 2D sprites high up in the sky. That's a little distracting. That's the LOD. There is a mod to make that less noticeable, but ultimately, if you don't have the mod, then that could be a bit of an issue that you have to work around. And if we don't have anything to break up sight lines like this stuff, then those sprites might be something we have to live with. So what I'm doing is I'm just throwing some small rocks here, just around this area, and I'm just adding some rocks to the edge. And we have to put them far enough out that the grass sprites, because it'll be dry brush grass around here, doesn't clip through the rocks. Oh, all right, that's good. Yeah, no, it's actually pretty good. Shoreline rock is also a nice, like, cheaty thing that you can throw down and you just get a bunch of rocks. We're not going to use that now, but there are some things like we can just throw these at the side of at the side of the hill, like hillside, and we get a bunch of rocks. We might end up doing that on the inside. But now we're throwing some rocks down here. What we can do is grab terrain objects, so we've got nothing selected. We'll go back up, we'll grab the trees, not items. We are no way ready to start putting items in. Alocasia, yeah. So we're gonna use the rocks to inform where we can put things like plants. Plants tend to rotate, so they are upwards. They tend to face upwards. You can put them at different angles if you should so wish, but yeah, in general, plants like to be facing the sun. And now we've put this plant in. If you're running along here on this upper terrace and you're looking down, the rock and the sort of brown of the ground has now been broken up. We've got this green intermixed with that, so it just looks a little bit more natural. We can add a little bit of driftwood maybe. That'd be quite nice. So a little driftwood on the shore. Yeah, did that. So Deep Space Nine is the best Star Trek, you're saying? Yeah, no, it's really good. They actually built like a third of the inner ring in a hangar. And what they did is, you can literally follow someone from ops down to quarks with a camera. The set was enormous. That was great. The story is great as well. So we're going to throw a little bit of aloe vera here. So we just add some little resources here. Player can just chippity chop that up. Not an issue. A little bit of alocasia. No cerumen. I'm just reading the wrong thing. I am. Again, just to break up. Just visually break stuff up. Because otherwise all you just have is a little tree there, and it's like, well, that's fine, but it kind of looks like a garden center. Terrain objects just means you don't have anything selected, so you don't accidentally move anything. So grab some cerumen. Yep, And again, I just want to make sure the roots that are in the ground, because if it's just floating, we've all seen it in video games where something's floating. It's like, well, it's not a deal breaker, but, you know, just a little pride in your work. The flower's nice. Looks kind of like a arum lily. Let's move that slightly so the leaves aren't so clipped into the trunk. And then around the other side, we will put something here as well. We could put a naan in there. A naan? Why don't you destroy the entire Naan homeworld while you're at it? One step at a time. What's that from? Oh, that is Babylon 5. Oh, you like sci-fi, huh? Oh, I love sci-fi. Well, I can't select that naan anymore. Okay. That's fine. So yeah, we now have what was an empty bit of beach. We have this little S-bend through here, just following the terrain, really. Little S-bend, got some rocks in here. And yeah, that's pretty good. And that's just a little vignette. It's not much of anything, but it just breaks up the world. Alright, I think a little bit more sermon. Sort of along here. You can kind of thread it into what we already have. Sometimes when you're placing objects, and there's a lot of objects in the area, as you can see, the objects themselves, the selected object, will clip onto something else, and it's frustrating. Especially if you are trying to place something, and then it snaps onto something on the other side of the island, and you suddenly move something and you have no idea what it is, or was. There we go. So I wanted to leave this path open. This path through here. I wanted it open, but what I didn't want is to straight up, like, block anything. So I don't want the player to get stuck, but I do want to break up all the like visual hardness of having rocks and terrain here. So that just suddenly looks a lot nicer. And that is terrain objects, so we've got nothing selected. That's just a little bit of island. Just a little story, a little vignette. Nice, cool. This could do with some work. And I'm kind of keen not to throw... So the thing is, the player can just walk down here. That's the thing that players can do. I'm keen not to try and trap the player. So some plants, like I believe the banana plant, is a little problematic if a player ends up standing on it. I think the hitbox is a little weird, and it might end up causing the player to vibrate and maybe even get stuck. So you want to place it in areas where the player's not going to like go and get stuck. And like here, a player might go down into here and just be like, oh, I can't jump out. Now, I think a player should be able to jump out through this bit here. That's not a problem, because where the rock drops down, I think a player will be able to thread their way through. But you got to keep like a mental note of what you are and aren't doing. Right, good. Let's see, what else do we need here? This is kind of bothering me, this bit here. And we did this last time, but this definitely, it bothers me. It bothers me. Why does it bother you? Well, let's grab some objects. Let's grab some rocks. It bothers me because it doesn't look au naturel. I wanted the building because in order to use things like this bridge here and have a survivor shelter, I kind of want a story. And you have structures on volcanoes. It might be the volcano hasn't erupted for a long time. Krakatoa blew itself to pieces. And then, oh, I suppose that was quite active. But you have tours going to these places. You have volcanoes which are, you know, quite famous, and people want to go and have a look at them. So you put structures and items there. You do find these little buildings, these little quaysides that people put in to do things like volcano tours. And then what happens is the volcano explodes again and everyone gets rather hot. So yeah, I'm just putting this rock in. I'm trying to see if this is going to work, just to distract from the fact that there's just a big old lumpy bit here. I'm not sure that's actually working for me, so I'm going to delete that and grab Big Rock 1 instead. Yeah. it's quite okay to try things, and if it doesn't work, get rid of it. If it works, it's fine. Because what I want is to put some plants and things here. So I want this to look less like a boat and more like a building. Now, we're not really going to get away with that, but we have a limited palette, a limited tool set. I think that's fine. Let's grab Mr. Door real quick and just check the width of this, just to make sure we can in fact get Mr. Door. Okay. Yeah, that's bigger than I imagined it would be. You could probably fit two players side by side, hand in hand, skipping through here. It's not a problem. Mr. Door is a good way of just measuring things, which means we're gonna have to put some greenery along here. I like greenery. Now the ficus trees, ficus tree, and ficus tree, the three stooges, these can be chopped down. So if you put these in, these are trees that the player can just chippity chop away, pick, pack, pop, gone. Oh, all right. It's only hard work you have placing them. If it's a structural plant that you desperately want to remain structural, don't use these ones. Ficus tree 1, ficus tree 2. I think ficus tree 1 is probably best here. I'm going to place it in a way that it sort of is upright. So move it up, hit R to rotate. That's a lot better. And because it can't be chopped down, we need to select you again. What is selected? Alright, so vertical. And then down into the ground. And I want to move it so it's touching the rock, but not like clipped into the rock. There we go. There we go. Can I select that again? Yeah, I can, just a little bit. Right. That's better. That's better. I just want to break it all up, you know. Break up them sidelines. So we're working the small things just to make it abundantly clear. The small things are going to make the big things work later on. So yeah, again, sidelines. So that looks a little bit better already. That's a sermon. There's the one with the... Yeah, the one with the flower. This is fine. Not perfect, but fine. And then let's grab an object. Let's grab a rock. And I'll grab a small rock, because small rocks do huge amounts of work. Fortunately, they are quite nicely shaped. I just put that in randomly, and you know what? I kind of like it. Yeah, I like it. It's awkward, it's odd, it's weird. I did like that. Alright, so now this little walkway is a little bit more realistic, a little bit more interesting. Cool. I like it. I like it a lot. I put a plant here, and that is just to dissuade players from swan diving off the edge, just taking that as a shortcut. It's probably not going to do that. What have we got down there? Sermon again? Maybe. Yeah, probably. Alright, let's do that. All the way down. R to rotate. Select you again. Yeah. Can I select you again? Or are you now part of the world? No. And get your leaves out of them rock. Okay, that'll do. That'll do. Good. Good. As soon as you're running along here, you're like, oh, I want to go up here. Not running along here and going, oh, I want to dive down there and probably break both my ankles. It's a little thing, but you just want to guide the player as much as you can. I mean, the tool chest in here is not very big at all. It's not huge. It's not bad, but it's also kind of not great. Alright. And we have a bunch of things that we could do here. Cocoa plant. I feel the cocoa plant is going to be the one, cocoa bush, is going to be the one thing that is definitely like, we're going to be using a lot. We got to use it a lot. Because it adds greenery where there's not necessarily much in the way of greenery. So I'm going to throw you in here and then move you down as much as I can. Slide you sideways a little bit. So I just want some greenery up here. Again, I just kind of want to dissuade people from swan diving off of here. That would make this drop a little bit more deadly. Because making just a sheer cliff out of terrain is actually kind of difficult. There's a big old chunk there, so I'm going to move it down, rotate it. That's a bit better. Yeah, so it's got a bit of greenery there. Nice, good. Terrain objects, nothing selected. Excellent. So we're just kind of working on this area at the moment, I guess. One of the things that we are going to do is just check and see how many trees we got left. We've got some cook pines. So pine tree 1, 2, and 3. In terms of the big ones, we've only got 2 out. So we've got another 3 of those. Oh no, we got 3 out. So we got another 2 of those. We got some smaller ones. So we have 1. Ooh, let's see. 2 of the small ones, and then 4 of the, because we're going to get 5 of each. All right. So why do we want the rest of the woods? Interesting question. Now we can have it around here. We could probably have trees on the beach. That might be a good idea. So I'm going to put you there, just sketch you in essentially. Which gives me 1 more, I think. Oh no, you got more than that. Nice. So these are, oh, these are pine tree 1. That's why. I'm thinking pine tree 3. From pine tree 2. I can't remember. Pine tree 2. There we go. It's kind of difficult to remember which one is which because they're not in order. So do you want the big one on the beach? Probably not. Okay, pine tree 2 can come here. We know we need them on the lowest shelves, lower slopes. So I'm going to put you back there. We're deliberately putting one on the beach. We'll have to put some rocks and stuff around that. Because we have to be quite sparing about where we do and do not put them. I think here as well. And that's a little better. That's a little more dense. Put one here. Just because when you're running along here, you just want this to be all broken up. And I think, let's see, along here. Max reached. Okay, give a little spin because these two are quite close to each other. They can be giving a little spin around, and you get a spin as well. Good. Pine tree 2. Well, we got summit selected. Ain't gonna like that. So pine tree 2 is a big pine tree country. Right. I put you there. Max reached. Okay. So we're kind of making a forest. There we go. It looks a bit more foresty once you're inside it. Mostly because the trees in the distance are in the distance. And having them on the beach means that instead of just trying to force ourselves to have a forest stuck on the side of a mountain, having them on the beach gives you like an illusion of depth in terms of the woods. If I didn't have them on the beach, well, it would look a bit bare, look a bit empty. So that's why we're just throwing stuff down on the beach. So we got, let's see, pine tree 1, pine tree 2, so pine tree 3, and that is hillside pine tree. Okay, so I want one, kind of there. Drop me down as much as I can. And then maybe over here. Yeah, max reach, there we go. There we go. So we're getting ourselves a forest, but it's on the side of the mountain. And it's not going to look like much until we're actually in the game, unfortunately, because, well, once you're in the game, it just looks very, very different. The rendering is different. The way the water works is different, because the you've got animals, you've got grass sprites. It will look very different once you're in the game. So it's always almost worth saving, dropping the island into the game, and then just having a little look around if you're not sure if something's working or not. Otherwise, yeah, this looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. What do we want to... I mean, this is kind of bothering me a little bit. What we could do is add cocoa bush underneath. So you can grab and left click and just scroll up and down there, or you can grab the toggle on the side. Cocoa bush, hello. Is that going to work? I mean, yes, sort of. I don't know if there's an upper limit for cocoa bushes. I'm not going to be grabbing them out of the tool chest just to find out, but let's see. And then T, slide it up. There we go. Terrain objects, and then a little bit of rock, I think. Just a little bit. There we go. Move it down. Yep, that's fine. That's fine. Why did you do that? Thank you for asking. That is because this just kind of looks a little bit straight and flat, and that gives the player something to go and step out onto. There's a little bit of peril. If you drop off here, you'll break your ankles, most likely. So there you are. But from below, that looks kind of interesting. I'm liking that already. It's just added a little bit of greenery. It's added a little bit of rock. It's something else for the sun to play off of, which is kind of cool. Let's grab a small rock. So terrain objects, small rock. There's a little Y-shaped rock there. I'm just gonna push that to there. Bottom of that. Nice. Okay, terrain objects. Good. And again, it has to be quite far off the ground to stop the grass sprites from just like poking through it. We're gonna need to do something with the bottom of these trees, I'm afraid, because we can't leave them like that. But yeah. Cool, so what have we done? Well, we've added a little vignette here. Nice little S-bend the player has to run through. Plays with the light and shadow, has some resources, and just makes that area just look a little bit more interesting. We've added some trees to the world. In fact, all the cooked pines are now out. We've played with this a little bit so that the player now knows that they can run along here and go up on the terrace rather than trying to go down here, which was a big empty space before. The player could legitimately just walk up and down because, you know, you can Morrowind up and down a very, very steep surface in this game. And we've added some trees and some items along here so that as you're running along, yeah, it does look an interesting biome. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, we'll probably come back and do more to this. We definitely need to sort of work our way around the island, and we also need to work out what the heckerinos we're going to do in here. I've got an idea, but I'm going to let my subconscious work on it. Anyway, I'm going to leave that here for now because for me, this is quite a late recording. So by the time it's edited, uploaded, and all the social media stuff's done, it's going to be quite late. The upload's going to be quite late. So I'm going to leave it here for the time being. If you like this, definitely leave a little like. Leave a subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you want notifications, dingle the bingle. If you don't want notifications, don't click the bell. And I'll tell you what, I'll catch you next time.